The Buffalo Bills might have just solved an issue that has been haunting them for years. Bills Mafia, for years, we've been going into the end of the season, especially in the Leslie Frazier years, but even last year, where we have a consistent, great defense in the regular season, but for some reason, when we get to the end of the year and we get to the playoffs, our defense falls off or is injured or is not really doing well like they did in the regular season. You could chalk it up to the opponent, but it might actually be a deeper issue in our organization. And I want to talk about that today, but I also want to talk about this guy named Joey Bosa, who's on every headline, who's the #1 graded PFF player for the week, and he is a problem for opposing offenses, and he has just been great. He's been so awesome. We're going to talk about him, but the twist is not just Joey Bosa coming in and solving the problem that's been haunting us for years. The twist is actually a guy on our coaching staff that maybe it doesn't get the notoriety that a name like Joey Bosa does. Again, he's a coach, and he's not our offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, our head coach, or even our special teams coach. He's the strength and conditioning coach. We're going to talk about him in a little bit, but my name's Colin. This is Crack the Table. We are all Bills, no breaks. If you're not part of our community yet, I just welcome you in. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, but also if you get value from Bills breakdowns, especially unique ones, maybe like this, where I'm doing a little work, doing a little deep dive, it really helps me out if you toss me a like. Even if you just comment below, just say "Go Bills." It really helps me out as we're getting this channel going. But I want to talk a little bit about Joey Bosa, and he has been so great already this year. You know, in the first game and the second game, but especially this second game against the Jets, he's been pretty exceptional as a player. He was a big signing in March. He's been a decade-long nightmare for quarterbacks throughout the NFL. He's got 77 career sacks, 100 tackles for loss, more than 160 quarterback hits, which is incredible, 5 Pro Bowls, and he was the defensive rookie of the year. And it's not just the numbers that make Joey Bosa such a scare for other opposing quarterbacks. It's his surgical hand placement. It's his strength. It's his technique. It's the amount of tools that he has in his tool belt as a defensive edge to get after the quarterback, but also just to be disruptive, to cause fumbles, just like we saw him do this past weekend. You know, there's been so many times where he's been nicked up or hurt, where it's caused him to have a dip, maybe in his burst or athleticism, but he's still somehow, even when he's been hurt, he's still been successful at getting after the quarterback, and we really want to see that going late into the season. Again, through just 2 games in Buffalo, Joey Bosa is already proving that he is still elite and he's ready to compete and really push this team over the hump or over the edge, and really get this narrative that our team's going to fall off out of the window. But he's had 2 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 7 pressures in a single game against the Jets. Again, PFF graded him as a top graded defender this last week on the field. And if you watch, you maybe you didn't see the numbers, but if you just watch the game, he was just so disruptive. Justin Fields never had a chance to look comfortable, even in that long run, you know, that Justin Fields had, the one where Matt Milano got hurt. He was running down the field like 27, 30 yards or whatever it was. And you know, Joey Bosa was almost tackling him for a loss. Now, Justin Fields is a little bit more quicker than a Joey Bosa. But even in this, right, the real story of Joey Bosa's arrival is the ascension of, I think, going to be just our front four, especially Ed Oliver. We know he's been out right now, but even in week 1, we saw Ed Oliver dominate because he didn't have to soak up double teams as much as he normally would have, because Joey Bosa is winning on the outside. But the other guy that this is really going to be helpful for, that Joey Bosa is really going to be helpful for, is Greg Rousseau. Bosa doesn't make things easy for opposing defense or the opposing offensive tackles. But Bills fans know the story too well. We go into the season, we have some success on the defense, we get after the quarterback fairly decent, but then we get hurt. And when things get tight, when things get later on in the season, we just don't perform as well. But this year already does feel different. But there's a guy that we're not really talking about, and it's the secret weapon, Will Greenberg, who in 2017 joined our coaching staff with Sean McDermott. But even just this last year, he was promoted to our strengths and conditioning coach, the head strengths and conditioning coach. And a lot of people have been noting that his program, and a lot of NFL teams are doing this, but especially it's making its way to Buffalo, where it's moving past just how fast you can run and how many heavy weights you can lift. But it's moving past that to more of a sustainable model of strength, of mental resilience, and even building into players so that they can peak in their physique, in their strength, in their just ability as an athlete in January and even going into February. And so Greenberg is using some different technology and individualized programs for players, and not just saying, hey, we're just going to look at everybody and say, hey, you got to bench this many and you got to squat this many. He's looking at individualized players, giving them healthy programs to help them along the way, especially based off their injury history and their positional need with different things. And he's even making our players, there's reports with Eric Wood of guys doing like boxing drills and stuff for hand placement. Again, I think about that for our offensive line and our defensive line, when even there's like decision making under fatigue. As he told, again, Eric Wood, there's a quote, he says, boxing was a really good way. It translated to hand placement, hand speed, and even thinking while you're tired. And I actually think that we saw a little bit of this with Ed Oliver, even Dalton Kincaid, and even Josh Allen, but specifically Josh Allen at the end of the game, not with the hand placement, but just the decision making under fatigue. The trench battles are real, but at the end of the game of the Ravens game, not this weekend, but the weekend previously, we saw Josh Allen just for some reason turn and become Super Saiyan at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, where it seems like a bunch of drives were stalling. Yeah, he was playing good throughout the game, but there's something that clicked, and he had a mental fortitude and a consistency in his game, in his physique, in his conditioning that led him to still make really smart decisions at the end of the game to not turn the ball over and to get the win over the Ravens. And so Greenberg's been bringing things like better team nutrition. And, some players were actually a little bit mad at him for this. And so chips and mac and cheese lunches, they're kind of out the door. Instead, he actually has a full-time dietitian working with every single player in real time so that before, during, and after games and practices, there's real nutrition happening, good nutrition, so that they're not overloading on carbs, they're getting the right amount of protein, and they're even using some post-workout shakes to make sure that our players are healthy and ready to go, which really, really matters. Again, at first, some players were really resistant towards this, but it seems Greenberg has been a really key addition to our players' health, maybe not with soft tissue injuries, as we've just noted how many injuries we've had, but so far, he's been really helping, I think, with some of the game day performances. And so Greenberg's philosophy is more human-centered. It's simple. He even said in a quote, he said, if you come to Buffalo, you'll become the best version of what you want to see on the field and off the field. And Sean McDermott has praised him here and there. But again, when we look at Josh Allen's surge at the end of the game against the Ravens, it gives us hope that there is some traction and there's some value already in this. Ed Oliver exploded in week one. Too bad he got hurt. I still don't know exactly what happened with the injury, but Dalton Kincaid has even made comments about Greenberg specifically with his knee injury and some of the ability for him to be a sharper, more explosive tight end and athlete. But Buffalo's roster is being built to last longer, to recover faster, and to peak when it matters most, which is, again, maybe not necessarily a new idea, but it's being done with a level of precision that it hasn't been done before, which means the big question around Joey Bosa is, will this guy retain his level of athleticism and retain his level of health going later on into the season? That's the real big question that we're all wondering, right? And with Bosa now demanding more attention on the outside, you have to think that there's going to be more defenders on him, which is that going to cause him to be more, to be injured, more consistently or more, more regularly. But again, we look at Joey Bosa and we just want to see him be successful. We want to see him succeed. And when the front four wins, it creates greater opportunities for our linebackers. It creates greater opportunities for our secondary. Gone are the days where we want to count on coverage sacks. We really want to get after the quarterback with Rousseau, with Deion Walker, with a Daquan Jones, with Ed Oliver if he's healthy, and with Joey Bosa. AJ Epinesa quietly, even as some of the stats I've set on the screen as I've had them, is showing he's actually been okay. Maybe not in the run game, but getting after the passer, he's been decent. But in all of this, for years, the Bills have struggled to close at the end of the year. I think because either we've gotten tired or injuries have scaled and injuries have mounted on our team. But we have now a new strength and conditioning coach who's taking things to a further level, a deeper level, that I hope, and I'm just choosing to believe this at this time of the year, that the missing piece all along was, yes, a guy like Joey Bosa who's getting after the quarterback and producing at an elite level, but also a coach who's now taking players and looking at them and breaking down programs, individual development plans for each and every one of them in a way for their diet, for their body, so that they can recover mentally, physically, and be ready week in and week out. This isn't just about a free agent signing of Joey Bosa and him playing well. This is about Buffalo's consistency as a playoff contender right now at the beginning of the season, but also hopefully peaking at the end of the season. And finally, again, building a defense to finish the year, not one that gives up 40 points in the playoffs. But I'm calm. This is Crack the Table. We're all Bills, no breaks. If you like breakdowns like this, if you love maybe some of the things that getting talked about that aren't necessarily on national media, then feel free to like, subscribe, join our channel. Again, I'm just really humbled by the growth that we've seen in this channel. I'm loving getting to know some of you guys. You guys are awesome people, and it's just been a joy. So make sure you drop a comment. What are you excited about this week going against the Miami Dolphins on Thursday night? Let me know. With all that being said, have a good day. Deuces.